India's COVID-19 tally rises by around 49,000 to 80.9 lakh, but active cases fall for the 27th day in a row, slipping below 6 lakh. Single-day testing inches above 11 lakh after 5 days, and deaths increased by more than 500 for the third straight day. The United States surpasses 90 lakh COVID cases with a record single-day surge of 90,000 new infections. In Europe, Germany, Spain, Italy and Sweden hit new records in daily cases. France restricts the outdoor movement of citizens, and Greece announces regional lockdowns. Reliance Industries delivers a robust performance in the second quarter that outstrips expectations. Revenues rise to over 1.1 lakh crore rupees and net profit rises above 9,500 crore rupees as the company sees a sharp 44% growth in its petchem business. Its retail business takes a hit due to the lockdown. Reliance Jio delivers a strong set of numbers for Q2. Net profit grows at a better than expected 13%. Revenue growth is a pleasant surprise at over 5%. Kishore Biyani's Future Group gears up for arbitration with Amazon over its deal with Reliance Retail. Sources say the company is setting aside up to 1,500 crore rupees as contingent liabilities on account of damages it may have to pay as a worst-case scenario. Axis Bank and Maxis Life reworked their share purchase agreement in keeping with the RBI's view. Axis Bank will not directly buy a 17% stake in Max Life as originally planned. Instead, Axis Bank, Axis Securities and Axis Capital will jointly buy a 19% stake in the insurance company. India helps American tech and retail giants report strong Q2 results. Apple announces a record rise in revenues despite the pandemic and says its products have seen strong traction in international markets with a record quarter in India. Amazon says it will continue to invest in expanding its India operations as its global net profit soars above $6 billion, revenue up 37%. Facebook shrugs off a month-long advertisement boycott campaign. Third quarter revenue jumps 22% to a record $21.47 billion. CEO Mark Zuckerberg says it now has 10 million active advertisers against 9 million in July and has clocked a 12% rise in monthly active users. Net profit up $7.85 billion. After Florida, President Trump and Democratic nominee Joe Biden will head to Wisconsin and Minnesota to campaign for votes. Biden looks to shore up his lead in these states, which President Trump won by a narrow margin in 2016. Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. Let's go straight to the big story tonight. Reliance Industries has delivered a robust performance in the second quarter. This outstrips expectations. Revenues have risen to over 1.1 lakh crore rupees. Net profit has jumped to above 9,500 crore rupees. If you take a look at Jio, it's also reported a strong set of numbers, though the retail business has faced some headwinds on account of the lockdown. Sonia joins us now to wrap up Q2 earnings for Reliance ahead of street estimates. Sonia.
Oh, absolutely. The numbers are much better than what the street was forecasting, and across most businesses the company has done well. So revenue growth of 26% is what we've seen at 1.11 lakh crores. The profits at 9,567 crores are better than estimated. The Jio business did quite well this time around. In fact, the average revenue per user has gone up 4.2% sequentially to come in at 146 rupees versus 140 last quarter and versus 128 same quarter last year. So it's the tariff hike that has resulted in a very strong operational performance for the Jio business. Revenue growth of 5.6% and profit growth of 12.9%. That's for Reliance Jio. The other big positive is that the petchem business has been very strong this time around. So you have an EBIT growth of 44% for the petchem business. The margins have come in at 16.5% versus 13.5% quarter on quarter. Refining was weak, but that was on expected lines. The improvement in the retail business is also quite stark on a quarter on quarter basis. Of course, year on year, things have been a bit damp, but quarter on quarter, the operational performance for the retail business has been very strong. So all in all, good set of numbers coming in for Reliance, much better than what the street was forecasting. Back to you.
All right, Sonia, you've had a long day. Many thanks for joining us there. The standard disclaimer flashing on your screens. That's Reliance's second quarter for you. But let's take a look at now where India stands in its fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. The total tally of infections has risen by around 49,000 in the last 24 hours, crossing 80.9 lakh. However, active cases dropping for the 27th day in a row. That number has now slipped below 6 lakh on the back of over 57,000 people recovering. With this, the recovery rate has risen to 91%. 563 deaths have been recorded in the last 24 hours, taking the total death toll to over 1.2 lakh. Single-day testing has inched back above 11 lakh after a gap of 5 days. With this, India has so far conducted 10.8 crore tests. Experts that we spoke to earlier today say that the fall in active cases is not necessarily a sign that India is winning the battle against the virus just yet. They believe that the number could arise from a number of reasons, from insufficient testing to regional shifts in susceptibility. They also warn that we should be prepared for a surge in cases as the festive season progresses and winter sets in.
This testing has mainly happened in I would say the peak 40-50 cities of the country. If you look at the other areas of the country, that's usually untested and uncalled for. Okay, so right now as we are testing today is only a minuscule portion of the general population at large. Point number one. So that's why maybe the disease is declining in those areas where we are testing, but maybe it's on the rise in those areas where testing is still not available.
India seems to be behaving quite differently from rest of the countries in Europe and US, etc. But again, if you see in India, there are regional variations. For country, the figures may be going down, but if you see the figures in Delhi NCR, the graph is actually the other way around. It touched its minimum 3-4 weeks back. And now again, it's on the rise. But probably we will see an upsurge happening in bigger cities, especially in North India, because of the festive season.
We do see post-COVID patients coming back with lots and lots of issues. Structural changes do not translate into functional disability. We also find people do require general rehabilitation and physiotherapy and also pulmonary rehabilitation. There are issues related to overuse of steroids and people may require little medical help and intervention.
Well, that's the India picture, but let's take a look at the global COVID headlines. The United States has now surpassed 90 lakh cases with a record single-day surge. In Europe, Spain has hit a new record in daily cases, recording over 23,500 infections. Italy registering a record of 26,800. France has restricted outdoor movement of citizens. Greece has announced regional lockdowns. As the number of COVID-19 cases continue to surge across the globe, investors remain jittery. Wall Street and the European markets are trading weak. Back home, Indian equities recovered from the intraday lows, but still ended in the red. So for the week, the Sensex and the Nifty closed with losses of about 2.5% each. So global markets skittish at this point in time. But here's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. The Future Group is gearing up for a legal face-off with Amazon. Sources in Future Group tell us that the company has provisioned close to 1,500 crore rupees as a contingency liability. This money, we learn, could be used to pay for damages awarded to Amazon, if any, at the end of the arbitration. Sources in Future Group also tell us that the amount is only a buffer and that they will proceed with the deal as expected. Ashmit joins us now with more details. Ashmit, so take us through the game plan that Future is putting in place.
Well, as this battle with Amazon rages on, we understand that Future Group has already started preparing its war chest. We spoke to company insiders, Future Group insiders. What they tell us is that the worst case scenario as far as this arbitration is concerned is claims of damages. And towards that end, what we understand is that they have started providing for a contingency liability. Towards that end, the figure that we're picking up is that they have provided for about 1,000 to 1,500 crore rupees as a part of this contingency liability fund on account of possible claims of damages by Amazon. And what's important is that what company insiders tell us is that having provided this buffer, so to say, they will push forward, no questions asked, as far as closure and finalizing this 24,700 crore rupee deal is concerned. They will push forward with that, no questions asked, no two ways about it. In fact, what company sources also tell us is that they caution against viewing this contingency fund as an admission of any foul play. They say that they will contest all claims by Amazon. They will contest any claims of damages, and their version is quite clear that Future Retail is not party to this contract. So clearly, Future Group gearing up for a long-drawn contest with Amazon.
All right, many thanks, Ashmit, for joining us. Now, speaking of Amazon, the online retail giant's third quarter performance has outstripped street expectations. It has reported a 37% growth in revenue, and this has pushed the net profit to $6.3 billion, triple the $2.1 billion clocked a year ago. The company says it's created over 400,000 jobs in this year alone and expects an unprecedented holiday season globally as people come out of the effects of the pandemic to spend more. For the next quarter, Amazon expects its operating income to come in between $1 billion and $4.5 billion. That's quite a range there. It assumes about $4 billion of costs tied to COVID-19. In its earnings commentary, the management has also said it will continue to invest in expanding its India operations. That's Amazon for you. On to earnings from Wall Street. Facebook managing to shrug off that month-long ad boycott campaign that erupted earlier in the quarter. Third quarter revenues, which are mainly fueled by advertisements, jumping 22% to a record $21.47 billion. CEO Mark Zuckerberg says the platform now has 10 million active advertisers against 9 million in July. Despite a fall in daily active users in US and Canada, the company has registered an overall 12% rise in monthly active users. Facebook has reported a net profit of $7.85 billion against $6.1 billion a year ago. And Apple reporting better than expected Q4 performance, even though the sales of its flagship iPhone has fallen by about 20%. Overall, revenues rose 1% to a record $64.7 billion. Its Mac and services business offset the fall in the iPhone sales by clocking all-time high revenue. Support has also come in from iPad sales, which have surged a robust 46% over the quarter. However, the company did not offer any guidance for the coming quarter that ends in December, given the fact that there is an uncertain environment. But for the July-September quarter, Apple's international business, which accounts for 59% of its revenues, has come to its rescue. Specifically, Apple's India business. CEO Tim Cook credited record sales in India for the strong growth in overall revenues. He said the recent launch of Apple's India online store has played a big role in driving sales higher. Mugdha Warrier joins us now with more on India's role in Apple's performance. Mugdha.
That's right. Apple CEO Tim Cook, during the earnings call on Thursday, said that the company saw a September quarter record in India, thanks in part to a very strong reception to the online store that the company had launched in the country in the quarter. Remember that Apple had launched its Apple Store online in India on September 23rd, and now for the first time offers the full range of products and support directly to customers across the country. Now, analysts have pointed out that Apple did have a very strong quarter. In fact, according to Counterpoint Research, Apple also pipped OnePlus to lead the premium segment for smartphones above rupees 30,000. And in fact, this growth was driven by the strong demand for iPhone SE 2020 and iPhone 11. In fact, Apple has also started the December quarter on a very strong note, with Forrester saying that 4 lakh iPhones were sold during the first week of the festive month across online platforms such as Amazon, Flipkart, and Apple's own online store. And in fact, remember, iPhone 12 is now also available for sale in the country. So definitely a strong quarter in September. The December quarter could just also be a record quarter for Apple in India.
Okay, Mugdha, many thanks. That's Apple for you. There's another twist in the Axis Bank Max Life deal, with the RBI refusing to accept Axis Bank directly acquiring a 17% stake in Max Life. The contours of the deal have been changed again. So now 3 Axis entities will jointly pick up a 19% stake in the insurance company. Yash joins us now with the details. Yash, so this deal going to be restructured yet again?
Well, under the new deal structure, Axis entities, which comprises of 3 companies, Axis Bank, Axis Capital and Axis Securities, would be acquiring a total of 19% stake in Max Life Insurance. As far as the bifurcation of that 19% is concerned, Axis Bank would be acquiring about 9% stake to take its entire shareholding in Max Life Insurance to about 10%. 3% of stake would be acquired jointly by Axis Securities and Axis Capital, and the balance 7% stake would be acquired by Axis entities comprising of all these 3 companies in one or multiple tranches going forward. As per our sources, we are given to understand that Axis Bank would not require any approval from the Reserve Bank of India for this particular transaction. That is as per the regulations, but the same regulations also restrict Axis Bank from acquiring any more stake in Max Life Insurance. which means the balance 7% stake, which is to be acquired at a later stage, will have to be acquired by Axis Capital and Axis Securities together. A new proposal will have to be submitted with IRDAI as well as SEBI for their final approval, and Axis Bank would hope to be second time lucky as far as this transaction is concerned.
Yes, it certainly will. Hope. Yash, many thanks for joining us with that. It's time for us to head into a break, but don't go anywhere. The news continues right here on CNBC-TV18.